You know that person who always eats lunch alone, the one who never quite clicks with the group, who leaves parties early, who somehow never gets added to the group chat? Yeah, that person isn't antisocial. They're stuck in something psychologists call the friendship paradox. And if you've ever felt like everyone around you is better at making friends than you are, welcome. You're about to feel very seen. Today, we're breaking down the psychology of people who struggle to make friends, the ones society calls lonely, but science calls something entirely different. Here's the thing. Most people who struggle with friendships aren't struggling because they're unlikable. They're struggling because their brain is running a very specific program in the background, one designed to keep them safe, but accidentally keeping them isolated. Let's start with something called the spotlight effect. When you walk into a room, your brain tricks you into believing everyone is noticing you, judging you, cataloging your mistakes. That awkward thing you said 3 minutes ago? You think everyone's replaying it. But here's what's actually happening. They're not thinking about you at all. They're too busy worrying about their own spotlight. People who struggle to make friends often have this turned up to maximum volume. Every interaction feels like a performance being critiqued, so the safest option becomes not performing at all. You stay quiet, you don't reach out first, you convince yourself you're just not good at this. But really, you're just exhausted from a spotlight that doesn't exist. Then there's something called rejection sensitivity. Some people's brains are wired to detect even the smallest signs of social rejection, like a smoke detector that goes off when you burn toast. Someone doesn't text back immediately, your brain registers threat. Someone laughs at the wrong moment, threat. Someone seems distracted during your story, threat, threat, threat. This isn't paranoia. It's actually a documented phenomenon where past experiences of rejection create a hypervigilant social nervous system. So you start protecting yourself preemptively. You don't initiate plans because the possibility of being turned down feels unbearable. You don't open up because vulnerability feels like handing someone a weapon. And slowly, you build walls so high the connection becomes impossible. Now add in something psychologists call the mere exposure effect, but in reverse. Friendships typically form through repeated, unplanned interactions. That's why people make friends at work, at the gym, in classes. But if you're someone who struggles with social anxiety, you avoid those repeated exposures. You work from home, you skip the company lunch, you put in headphones at the coffee shop. And here's the cruel irony. The less you expose yourself to social situations, the more foreign and terrifying they become. Your brain treats socializing like a muscle you never use. It atrophies. What was once just uncomfortable becomes genuinely difficult. There's also this concept called the pratfall effect. Research shows that people actually like you more when you make small mistakes, when you're imperfect, because it makes you relatable and human. But people who struggle to make friends often have the opposite response to their own mistakes. You stumble over your words, and you don't laugh it off. You catastrophize. You think you've ruined everything. This is called negative self-referential processing, where your brain has a bias toward interpreting your own behavior in the worst possible light. So every social interaction gets filed under evidence I'm bad at this, and the database just keeps growing. Then we have to talk about social scripts. Most people follow unwritten rules about how friendships progress. You meet someone, you have surface-level chats, you gradually share more, you make plans, you build history. It's a slow escalation. But some people either don't know these scripts or they panic and skip steps. They overshare too quickly because they're desperate for connection, which scares people off. Or they stay surface level forever because going deeper feels too risky, which leaves relationships stuck in acquaintance territory. Either way, the timing is off, and friendships that could have formed just fizzle out. And here's the big one, something called the liking gap. Research from Cornell University found that after conversations, people consistently underestimate how much the other person liked them. You walk away thinking you were awkward, boring, too much, not enough. Meanwhile, the other person walks away thinking the conversation went fine, maybe even great. But because you're convinced they didn't like you, you don't follow up. You don't suggest getting coffee. You let a potential friendship die because you misread the signals. This happens over and over, and eventually you stop trying altogether because why would you when it never works out anyway? But here's what you need to understand. Struggling to make friends doesn't mean you're broken. It means your nervous system is doing exactly what it was designed to do, protect you. The problem is, it's protecting you from a threat that isn't actually there. Those people you think are judging you, they're hoping you like them. That person you're afraid to text, they'd probably be happy to hear from you. That vulnerability you're terrified to show, it's actually the thing that creates real connection. Making friends as an adult is hard for everyone, but it's especially hard when your brain is running interference. The good news, once you see the patterns, you can start to interrupt them. You can recognize the spotlight effect for what it is. You can challenge your rejection sensitivity with evidence. You can practice exposure gradually, gently, on your own terms. You're not unlovable. You're just stuck in a loop, and loops can be broken. If this resonated with you, maybe share it with someone who needs to hear it. Or don't. Either way, you're not alone in this.